Hey, folks.
Hello.
Hello. I've
Well,
got my crappy laptop, travel laptop. So can you hear and see me okay?
you're all good. All good. Glorious.
You've got your Steve Jobs turtleneck there, looking very...
Full turtleneck. It's just a high. It's just a high one.
Mate,
Yeah.
never go full turtle.
Well, no, not at this time in the morning. Well, welcome everybody to another revenue search. Here we are, and what a revenue search we've got lined up for everyone today. Because I mean, we know some subnets better than other subnets. We've through DSV done deals, partnership deals, OTC deals with a whole bunch of subnets. But I would say that arguably the guests that we've got on today are the team that we perhaps have just about the closest relationship with, in terms of understanding what's happening inside their subnet, in terms of understanding them and their ambition and the goal. So I think that I think we should talk about some of that. So the guys that we've got on today are Bitcast. We've got Tom and Will on from Bitcast. These guys are building a fantastic subnet. They have got DSV as a partner. We did an OTC deal with them a while ago, and we've used their service to create DSV video. So we supplied them with a brief, and they've done a video for us. And then you are a miner on their subnet as well, just testing out that side of things. And then I think we're both excited about what is to come,
Yeah.
because that might unlock me being able to be a miner on any subnet for the first time ever, with my incredible technical skills and background. So yeah, so we know these guys really, really well. We're excited about it, and we watched them on Novelty Search last week.
Yeah. Very good novelty search.
Really good Novelty Search. So we've asked them to come on and share some of the new stuff that they're doing with our Revenue Search audience. Obviously, we've asked them to dial up the technical nature of this. So, because we've got a much more intelligent crowd here than they normally pull for Novelty Search. Right, bring them in. Come on. Let's get
Right.
going. Enough of us.
So I was watching that novelty search. I caught up with it a couple of days later. And then I was so confused. There was a massive sell-off straight after your novelty search. I was like, what retard would sell like after watching that? It was incredible. However, before we go any further, I came across something quite funny the other day, and it is this. it it popped up in my YouTube comments, and it was like, why does Mark always feel so grumpy? Mark, you have a very grumpy focusing face.
Well, I am focusing. I'm in the moment. I'm not grumpy. I'm never grumpy.
Cheer up, Mark. Nah.
His tongue to stick a smile on for the entire episode then.
Right. Well, Tom, thank you for being here. For I don't know, you must have been on many revenue searches now. So for those who've never heard of you, who are you in 20 seconds? Like, what do you do? 20 seconds, stickman English, go.
Well, I'm Tom Blaze, CEO of Bitcast. I've got a previous history in content creation and finance, and worked out there's some problems within this industry, and then we set out to solve it. And then Will was the key to this, of how to solve it.
Stickman English, what do you do? What is Bitcast for those that are tuning in that have never heard of Bitcast?
Sorry, I thought you meant, okay, yeah, so Bitcast is the decentralized creators economy. So we empower content creation via creators rather than your traditional digital ads. And we're building the tools to enable brands to do that scale.
Okay, so what does that mean again? So a company that wants to do some outreach marketing, they contact you and say, hey, get me some eyeballs, please. Then what?
Basically, yeah. Yeah. So if you want videos made or you want content made on any platform, we're working on building those tools and making it really seamless and easy for brands to unlock creator content at scale. Yeah.
Cool. I think we need to work on your pitch there.
I was I think there's a chance that Tom's got all the answers in his slides, and I think that probably we should just move in that direction. And the Eon.
You threw it around me. I thought I was going to start on my slides, and then I was like, how much detail do we go into?
So we have your lovely slides here. Yeah, run us through it.
Okay, yeah. So, like I just said, we're building the decentralized creators economy on Subnet93, and I'm presenting today with my co-founder Will. And yeah, just an absolute pleasure to be here. Like you said, it's our second revenue search that we've been on. And yeah, let's get stuck in. So, I mean, let's just first look at the running order. Just checking these slides are coming through. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so what we're going to be covering off is why creator marketing, why we're actually doing what we're doing, and what is Bitcast, what actually is Bitcast. Then we're going to go through what we've been doing and how it's going on YouTube. Then probably the most exciting part of our presentation is to go through our new social media integration with X. And then we'll finish off just by sort of outlining what else we're working on to be releasing in the near future.
Sorry.
So, right. So, yeah, once upon a time, the dominant force in marketing was newspapers. Front page scandal, bold headlines. It was the golden age of advertising. Until the internet arrived, and Alta Vista kicked it off, and they sold banner ads. But the real breakthrough came when Google realized that ads tied to search terms was where the real value was. And pay-per-click was born, and it changed absolutely everything in marketing. And, soon after that, Facebook joined the party with their social ads in your social feeds. And for 2 decades, PPC has been the king of digital advertising, and companies have been pouring billions into these platforms. But there are problems brewing, and the competition is rocketing. Costs keep on rising, and the return on investment is dropping. And the funny thing about that is that the market always follows the return on investment. And just like the newspapers before the internet, it's just how newspapers lost out to the internet. It's now happening, and it's happening again. And the highest return on investment now is no longer PPC, but it's in the hands of creators. So it's creator-led marketing. And it's, influencers, YouTubers, tweeters, TikTokers. And brands are seeing up to 11 times the return on investment with creators compared to these digital ads and PPC before them. And the money is flowing. So spend on creator content is growing at double-digit rates per year, and it's expected to double in the next 2 years to 500 billion. Enter Bitcast. So Bitcast is the next generation ad platform. It's storytelling verified by AI, and we're the first decentralized multi-platform marketplace which connects brands to creators. And the key difference here is that our rewards are anchored to genuine influence and scalable attention. Now, before going to that, I'm just going to take a second to sort of look at the current process for creator marketing and why it's broken. So on a one-to-one, if a brand wants to do creator marketing, it's a one-to-one process. And a brand will typically come up with a short list of creators, and they'll do that outreach to their creators. Then they will go on to rate negotiations, they'll go on to contracts, then they'll go on to reviewing the content against the brand messaging, and they'll go round and round in a circle around these steps. The content will then be published, and then what happens at the end of that is that they're left with unverified performance metrics. Often, it's a screenshot of the content creator's social media account that they'll get shared with them. And as you can probably tell, this is a very time-intensive process. And the industry is run at the moment on vanity metrics. So what I mean by that is it's like likes, shares, subscriber counts. And these are all really easy to buy on the internet. And it's really, really hard to actually understand what is going on. Also, the industry is run on fixed fees as well. So often creators will say, right, okay, it's X amount of dollars and I'll make you a video. But the value and the fees they're not linked to performance. So there's not really an incentive to like make content that performs extremely well. So they're sort of the high level problems with the content creator marketing at the moment. The other option that brands have is to go to an agency. Now, the only problem with agencies is the process is exactly the same. It's extremely manual, very, very time intensive. And because of that, the fees that agencies charge to brands are astronomical. So let's have a look at what that actually means and what's the impact of that. So because it's so time intensive, brands are really struggling to manage large numbers of creators, especially whilst maintaining brand messaging. Therefore, they're often opting to work with macro and mid-tier creators. So that's creators with the biggest audiences. But, and there's a big but, this isn't actually where the maximum value is for content creators. It's actually in the hands of creators with smaller audiences. And this essentially boils down to trust. So smaller audiences, they feel like they're part of a community. They feel like they have connection. And often like followers actually get replies to their comments on the videos and have a communication line with these creators. And as a result, followers feel that the recommendations from these smaller creators are more authentic and less transactional and less corrupted by big business. So I just want to share with you some stats on this. So let's have a look at this data. So on the left, there's a pie chart that shows the estimated number of active YouTubers by subscriber tier. And as you can see, that the macro and the mid creators account for 5%. But the vast majority of creators on YouTube are actually in this micro and nano tier of subscribers. But what's really interesting about that is if you look at the engagement rates on the right, you can actually see that nano creators have almost 4 times the engagement of macro creators. And I suppose the question here is, wouldn't it be great if there was a way to unlock access to these smaller creators at scale, removing all the time-intensive problems that come with it? And that's exactly where Bitcast comes in. So Bitcast unlocks access to these small creators at scale. And we incentivize high-quality content with consistent brand messaging across hundreds, maybe even thousands of creators. And how do we do this? It's because we validate every piece of content against the brand's messaging using AI. And, just to sort of hone in and show if there's actually demand for this, I found this amazing quote from Unilever's CEO, Fernando Fernandez. And he said, "We want at least one influencer in each of India's 19,000 zip codes, maybe even 100 in certain areas." So that's astronomical numbers of creators that they want to work with. And Unilever alone in 2024 spent a whopping 9.4 billion on their marketing. Okay, right. So let's just look at what exactly Bitcast is then. And I think this is a common misconception. Bitcast is not a marketing agency. We're building the tools that brands and marketing agencies use for creator marketing. And there's a really key, crucial difference here. And a good way to look at it is if you look at possibly the 2 most successful companies over the last 20 years, it's probably Meta and Google. And in 2024 alone, 98% of Meta's revenue came from their ad tools. 75% came from Google. And from a business perspective, what's great about these tools is that Google and Meta make money regardless if their tools are used effectively or not. The fact that they can be used effectively is what is key. And that is exactly what we're building at Bitcast. And we're building a trustless tech layer to unlock creator marketing. And let's just take a second to actually look at our Bitcast YouTube solution. So this is how it works in a nutshell for brands connecting with creators. So a brand would come to Bitcast and they would provide us with a content brief. And that brief would say, talk about Y, talk about Z. And the creators on Bitcast then see this brief and they make content accordingly. They publish it to YouTube. Now, a key component of this process is that when a creator connects their account to YouTube, they give us access to their back-end official YouTube API data. And this is really important because once it's published to YouTube, we take the video and we take that data from that miner, and our validator uses, firstly uses AI to say, did the content meet the brief? So did they talk about X, Y, and Z? Then the validator looks at all the data from the back end of the creator's miner and uses it to measure and reward genuine engagement. So likes, shares, comments isn't how you get rewards on Bitcast. It's actually to do with eyeballs and people spending time on your videos. And those rewards are then paid back to the creator via alpha tokens. Okay, so on this slide, I've outlined how it's going so far. And on the network at the moment, we've got 456,000 subscribers. Or sorry, our creators have 456,000 subscribers. We've generated 389 videos, all on Bittensor. We generated 303,000 views. But really, what we really like to look at is the fact that we've generated 18.6 thousand hours of watch time. So that's 18.6 thousand hours of watch time just on Bittensor content. And just to put that into context, that's over 2 years of continuous watch time. And at the bottom of this slide, you can see all the brands that we've worked with so far, and a big shout out to all of them, and thank you for working with us. Thank you to you guys. You're on there as well, DSV Fund. And these numbers are great, but really what we're building and what we're about to sort of unlock is pouring rocket fuel into these numbers. And essentially, like, we're looking at how do we go to the next level. And that boils down to two challenges that we've faced so far. So the first being onboarding new creators. So currently the process to join Bitcast has been very technical, requiring coding knowledge. This has been a major barrier for us to grow our creator base. The second challenge has been a scalable revenue model. So we've been charging fixed fees, which are not really linked to the output received. And it makes it very hard to let brands scale up and down their spending based on the needs of their business. So the solution to the first challenge, onboarding more creators, is the no-code miner. And I'm happy to confirm that no-code miner is now operational. We've got several creators already using it, and we're just in the process of onboarding our current remaining creators. And yeah, this is crucial for mass adoption, as generally creators are not coders. And with the no-code miner, new creators can join the network with nothing more than an email address. I'd like also to point out that Bitcast remains permissionless, and the no-code miner is completely optional. So if a creator wants to set up a regular miner, they absolutely can do. And we do charge a 5% fee on the emissions to use the no-code miner. And these fees we'll be using to reinvest into developing the subnet. Another thing we've got going on at the moment is that we've got a new website about to be released, which is full of social proof and a really easy onboarding for new creators. And we also have a really large multilingual outreach campaign that we're about to hit the go button on. And what will, and then when a new creator joins Bitcast, they're going to be presented with 2 briefs to kick them off. And the first one is a Bittensor introduction. So it helps them to understand what Bittensor actually is and helps them to introduce their audiences to it and start targeting their audiences. And the second one will be a 3 subnet showcase where creators are then, allowed to go, or forced to go and do their research on all the amazing subnets we have within the ecosystem. And they'll do a video that shows 3 subnets that they like, and they will also include Bitcast. So we'll have perpetual marketing for our platform built into all of the new creators joining the network. I like that. Okay, and the second solution is the sustainable and scalable pricing. So for us to scale, our revenue needs to surpass our emissions. And our first product that we'll be doing that with is our ad reads. So ad reads are essentially where a creator talks about a brand for 30 seconds within the first 3 minutes of their videos. And we successfully ran a test campaign with Taostats recently. And because of the success of that campaign, Taostats have signed up to be our first customer with this, and we're going to be going live with our first ad read with the new sustainable scalable pricing in the next week. And what's really and essentially how it works is that the brand would load up their budget, and then creators draw down from that budget. So obviously, if you've got a large budget, you can load up a huge budget. If you've got a smaller budget, you can scale them up and down as fits your business. And we've been speaking to some social media managers of some big crypto brands such as exchanges, and we also went through the data that we got from our test campaign with Taostats, and they are extremely interested in this product particularly, because it allows them to scale their ad read efforts over many creators, get much more return on investment than they can do at the moment going individually to different creators or going via agencies. Okay, and
I'm so sorry, just before you move on, whilst it's front of mind. So you say creators can draw down from the budget, as in the emissions going to the miners is drawing from that budget.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So Taostats puts out, 10 grand as the budget. So if I then make a video and I get rewarded for, talking about Taostats at the beginning, and that's 250 quid or whatever, it comes from that, not from Bittensor normal mining, Bitcast normal mining emissions.
So on the technical side, it still comes via the emissions, but we have a pot of money that we draw down as a revenue side. So you've got emissions going out the normal way, but revenue comes in the top as it's drawn out.
Okay. So if I made that video, I'd get normal mining emissions from Bitcast, plus a little bit from the ad read.
No, sorry. So your mining emissions will remain exactly the same. You will be drawing down from the general emissions as you always have been.
Yeah.
But from like a revenue point of view, if Taostats give us $10,000, and if we know, because we pay out in dollar terms, so if you've got $250 go out in mining emissions to your wallet, we draw down $250 from Bitcoin revenue. And obviously, as we grow this out, there's going to be protocol fees built into that revenue, so that more is coming in than is leaving in emissions.
Sorry. Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And yes, so the opportunity here. So crypto companies typically allocate between 10 to 20% of their revenue to marketing. And I mean, just if we look at Coinbase alone, they spent 654 million in 2024. And those dollars are going to have a choice to make. They can continue to go down the slow, admin heavy agency route, where campaigns are weighed down by contracts, middleman efficiencies, massive admin fees, or they can switch to Bitcast, where it's zero friction and they can scale up and down their spend as they need to with their business objectives. And what's also important to point out here is that our destination is we're not staying within crypto here. These tools that we're building are suitable for Web 2. You know, the likes of Apple, Microsoft, Nike, these companies don't spend millions. They spend billions every year, and they have very little concept of what a crypto bear market actually is. So it's sustainable revenue that Bitcast can be generating. And what we're doing with all this revenue is that it's very, very simple, that we're using it to buy back and burn the alpha tokens. Right. That is everything on the YouTube side of things. So I'm going to hand over to Will now. Unless there's any questions, I'm going to hand over to Will to run through our exciting new social media integration.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. I can't see Will's screen anymore.
We'll just stay on the slides that Tom's got. I do have a demo, but we'll switch to that about halfway through these slides. But yeah, really happy to be here. Thanks for having us on again, Mark and Siam. And I'm really excited today to show you guys and everyone else watching what we've been working on for the past couple of months. It's our new subnet mechanism. It will be out soon. It is our X integration. Bitcast is coming to X. So first off, it's important to know that every one of these platforms, whether it be YouTube, X, TikTok, they're all fundamentally very, very different. And for that reason, they will all have very different incentive mechanisms designed by us. YouTube is predominantly a long form, one directional broadcast platform, whereas X is high frequency, short form, and essentially it's a big web of social interactions back and forth. And that brings with it a bunch of challenges, but fundamentally makes it, in my view, a really interesting problem to work on. So we've been really enjoying that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through a couple of the key challenges faced today when trying to market on X. I'll show you how that's guided our decisions for this subnet mechanism, and I'll give you a look at the incentive mechanism and subnet that we've designed off the back of that. And I've got a bit of a demo, like I said, where we can see how that will look and give you a bit of a flavor of exactly how this works. So yeah, go ahead, next slide there, Tom. So here's a couple of the key challenges that we think anyone trying to market on X faces today. First up is signal decay. So essentially, X, as is very well documented, has become highly corrupted and easily manipulated. Engagement is for sale, likes, retweets, followers, even smart followers, if you know what they are. They're all for sale. The platform is overrun with bots. And this is a big problem because marketing likes measurability. The marketing industry has become expectant that they will be able to measure the results of a campaign in order to justify their ad spend. And we've got to the point now on X where there's essentially no reliable metrics left that we can count on to measure these things. Brands just don't know what's real anymore, and for that reason, there's a lot of money being left out of X that could be brought into this to be put towards very, very powerful marketing and marketing for brands. And the second point we'd like to highlight is the loss of authenticity. So authenticity is a key factor in trust, in credibility, and in influence. It ranks as the number one concern of US marketers in 2025. And due to poorly aligned incentives on X, both by X themselves and also by some of the leading social fi platforms, we've seen an explosion in inauthentic behavior. And this will typically materialize as high volume and low quality content. And to be associated with incentivizing this kind of content, we think is an unsustainable business model. So that's a key conclusion there that kind of shapes the direction we're taking with this. So yeah, let's take a look at the next slide. So with that in mind, the 2 points that I've just raised there on the previous slide, there are 3 key points that we have built the new subnet around. The first one, we need to anchor our incentives around a corruption-resistant metric, something that is exploit-resistant, that can't be easily paid for and bought. And this really is the integrity of this metric is key to the value of the product that we're producing here. So that's what we've done. As we'll see on the next slides, what we've done is we've come up with an influence score that we feel is exploit resistant and we can build upon. The second point is we're making a big push for quality over quantity. So this is something that is badly lacking on X at the moment. And it's something that we feel we can build a really strong reputation around. Quality over quantity, this applies to the accounts that we are going to allow to mine on the subnet, all algorithmically, of course. We're not picking and choosing miners ourselves, but it applies to the accounts that we allow to mine. And also quality over quantity applies to the content that we incentivize from those miners. So we're going to restrict the quantity that you can produce in order to push up the quality. And the third point is that we want to offer a highly targeted a way to target influence very specifically to brands. So this isn't about noise and volume. This is about quality messaging. And quality messaging needs to be delivered directly to the target market to make the most impact and to deliver the most value. So how have we done that? Let's take a look at the next slide. So the design for the subnet is based around mapping out key niches within X. So we map these niches, we identify the high influence accounts within those niches, and we target those accounts then with incentives. So we got some examples on the screen there, 3 examples of niches, and you can think of these as conversations. They are groups of X accounts that are messaging each other, pinging each other, retweeting each other all day. And so these are 3 that we feel are good examples of where Bittensor subnets should be sort of our strongest Bittensor subnets with the strongest brands need to be inserting their brands into the center of these conversations on X. So on the left there, you got deep in, obviously, we've got really strong infrastructure subnets on Bittensor that need to be a part of that conversation. In the middle, you've got dev productivity, which is a really lively conversation area. Ridges, for example, and probably a few others should be putting themselves in there. And on the right is an example of a bit of a zoomed out view of some other crypto AI projects So this is an area we could potentially market Bittensor as a whole into. Yeah, so next slide. Yeah, so that's where we're going with this. But to start with, we'll start a lot more locally. So we're starting with Bittensor. We've mapped out the Bittensor niche. And what that's given us is a list of 150 accounts who are the leading, these are the accounts that are leading the conversation for Bittensor. They're the KOLs for Bittensor. And we have an influence score for each of them. I know we won't go into the depths of the technical on this, but to give an idea of how this is working, we're using a version of an algorithm called PageRank. It was created by Google to rank web pages based on hyperlinks between those web pages. All these connections, web page to web page, is how Google generate the rankings for the pages. So we're doing exactly that, but instead of web pages, we're using X accounts, and instead of hyperlinks, we're using what I'm calling endorsements. So these are quotes, retweets, and mentions. And these are the reason we use these and not likes and replies is a quote or a retweet is like a public endorsement. So when you quote somebody, you are in effect staking your own reputation against their reputation. So there's a bit of skin in the game there.
Yeah.
So we've got this list of 150. That's the starting point for the subnet. We pass that to the validators as the starting point. And then from then on, they will maintain this list. And every week, new accounts will be able to come into the top 150, and some accounts will be pushed out of the top 150. If you're not in the top 150, the only way to gain access to the top 150 is to receive endorsements from those that are already in. So you need quotes and retweets from those influential accounts that are already in there. And this is our evolving whitelist for the subnet. So if you're in this 150, you can mine. If you're not in this 150, you can't mine, and you need to earn your way into that 150. And so with this, yeah, go on.
No, sorry, you carry on. There's a lag here.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, but with this, we are incentivizing like long-term influence, trust, authenticity of these accounts. Yeah, do you have a question, Sam?
Yeah, okay. So let's say all 150 of these accounts, they're like, oh, cool, we can start mining now. What if they all 150 went, okay, well, we're going to put a moat around us now. Let's never retweet anything about Bittensor or Tau. So, to protect ourselves within this top 150. What's stopping that?
Yeah, in theory, it could happen. I think the risk would be higher of something like that if the group was smaller. When you're looking at 150 accounts, and we can increase that if we need to, the risk of that becomes less. The task of coordinating all those accounts is a big one. The way that it works is you need a good amount of accounts to give you an endorsement to enter. It's not good enough to have like one or two. And another key detail is an endorsement from number 1 on the list is worth a lot more than an endorsement from number 150. Okay, so the accounts right at the top, they hold the strongest votes, if you like.
Yeah.
And I suppose it's a question of integrity. They've earned their spot at the top. I'll show you the accounts at the top, and hopefully you agree, because you are one of them, that they are high integrity individuals who have sort of long-term success of Bittensor as their priority, rather than necessarily
Like a fresh new ace apparel, but just suddenly they're pumped by Dronefongo.
Exactly. But of course, this is a work in progress. So we may have exploits, but we will fix them as they come.
Also, a point on that as well is that we don't expect every single account within the 150 to mine. Like you can see there, some of these are business accounts, and they are going to retweet good content that they find from around the ecosystem, and by doing that, they sort of pass that sort of reputation and give them, they pass over their sort of influence score. So you're not going to get absolutely everybody mining. It's just a map of influential accounts, and some won't mine. So it's very difficult for someone to sort of keep newcomers out, if that makes sense. If you make good content, you're going to get influence.
Nice. This looks so cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I should give a big shout out to Nick, or you might know him as Laz.eth on X. I forgot to give him a shout out for Novelty Search, and I felt very bad about it. But the two of us are working on this together. He's done a lot of the work for this page here, so I agree. It does look really cool. He's done a good job. But yeah, this is the mapping of the Bittensor niche, the Bittensor conversation. Okay, so we take a look at this on list view. I think so. These are our top accounts: number 1, number 2, number 3. And I think you'll agree that they roughly make sense. It intuitively does make sense. You recognize these accounts, and these are accounts that have, over the long term, earned the trust of the community. I think what's interesting to point out is that the positions on this list are not determined by putting out good tweets alone, right? Most of these people or companies or groups have earned this trust long term through Twitter, but also through the products they've launched, the podcasts they've appeared on, the meetings they've had face to face. Yeah, and also important to point out that this isn't all about followers either.
Yeah, I would have thought Open Tensor would be at the top with the amount of followers, and obviously it's like,
yeah, I mean, followers isn't considered. It's all about the retweets and quotes and tags.
yeah.
I mean, Open tends to have a lot of mentions, right? But they don't post all day every day. So yeah, they are leading the conversation. They're third, which is pretty good.
Not Jeffries is way ahead.
He's doing well. Yeah, you got some work on your hands there, Sam.
All right.
But yeah, we take a look back at the graph view here, and if we hover, we can actually see all of the endorsements that give these accounts their positions. So I think this illustrates, let's find const here. I think this illustrates how difficult it is to game this and get to the top of the list. You need to earn the trust and endorsement of a bunch of accounts, not just one or two, but a bunch of accounts.
And all those people have retweeted at least something from const.
Yeah, so there's two directions to this. You've got pink lines and blue lines. One color is const endorsing an account, and one color is an account endorsing const. So the two directions, but yeah, they're quotes or retweets or mentions within the past 30 days. So here you are, Siam, very well connected.
It looks like I'm a giver. So is it pink the givers? Like you retweet other people? Good to have a filter of like givers and takers.
I think pink is giving. Yeah, you're a giver. You're generous. Yeah. And Mark, he's balanced as well. Nice. Oh, he balanced. But yeah, that's what else do I want to say about that? No, I mean that's it. This is a work in progress. This will change. This is actually 128 accounts. It's likely to be 150 or maybe even 175 or 200 when we actually launch it.
Sorry.
And so that's the mapping. Whilst we're here on the page, I just want to highlight the process to register on this and start mining. Something that we're really, really excited about. And we think this is essentially the easiest way to start mining on Bittensor that exists. This is probably number 1. Number 2 is probably our YouTube implementation. But what you need to do to start mining, there's no You don't need to know what GitHub is. You don't need to set up an EC2 instance or download a repository. None of that. You just come to the page. A prerequisite to this is you will have had to set up a Bittensor wallet, but in the future, maybe that even won't be a prerequisite. You set up a Bittensor wallet, you come to the page, you paste your wallet address in here, and you generate a code. And all you need to do then is copy that code and include it within a tweet. And you can be talking about anything else within that tweet. As long as you include the code, post it. And then as long as you're also in this list, you are good and you are now mining.
And you post it once, not on every tweet.
No, post it once and you are then connected.
Got it.
And for the foreseeable, that's done. Your account is seen by the validator, and it is going to track you, and it is going to send your emissions to this wallet address every day. Yeah. So really happy about that. This is how we scale this to a much higher level. There's no limit on this in terms of you can only have 100 or 256 miners on a subnet. We could have thousands, theoretically millions of miners joining through this, which is key for us.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's what I've got to show you on the page. So you can all look forward to using that soon. Let's see. I think we can go back to the slides there, Tom, if you've still got your screen up.
Yeah. There we go. Almost. Skip over one.
Yeah, go ahead next.
Yep.
So we've shown you, where are we? So yeah, so to be in that list of 150 accounts, you have demonstrated influence within your specialty area. Now, to earn rewards, we need you to put that influence towards one of our brands, one of our clients. And the way you'll do that is by, similarly to the YouTube side, you are completing briefs. So we've got some examples of briefs there on the right-hand side. So yeah, one example there, and these are only examples, talk about ridges for AI software engineers. So it's quite open-ended. The reason for that is we want to put these brands out, but we want the creators to be able to remain authentic. We don't want all the same messages going out. But we want them to put their personal brand to this brand. And each of these briefs has a reward part associated to it. Similarly to what we were talking about before on the YouTube side, this is a part which is put up by a brand. And it is slightly different to the YouTube in that at the end of the brief, everybody who has met the brief will have the part shared between them. Okay, so if we only have a few people partake, they'll likely get a bigger piece of that pie. If we have lots of people joining, the piece of pie will be slightly smaller. And the score that your tweet gets, so not everybody gets the same slice of the pie. The score that your tweet gets is linked to the endorsements that the tweet receives. So again, the quotes, the retweets from influential accounts. So you've proven that you're influential in the long term. You've got your personal brand staked to this subnet essentially. And now you are putting your influence towards one of these brands, and you're doing it with a tweet which is authentic and has enough value to also draw in engagement from valuable accounts. And then we have one more slide. So we have sort of covered most of this, but just to reiterate, what is required: influence, thought leadership, personal brand. What is absolutely not required: a technical background, infrastructure, setup, infrastructure spend, not needed. Start mining in 30 seconds. As long as you can set up a Bittensor wallet, you can mine. And that's really key for us. We don't want to, if you don't want to cut down the talent pool by also requiring all these technical steps, it's just not necessary. It doesn't add value for us. So this allows us to scale and provide as much value as possible to our brands.
It's possible. Can you go back to the Nebula slide?
Yeah.
This one.
No, I think it's probably on the other one because someone put a question: is Towcat on that list? Because Towcat's a bot.
Let me check.
Oh, on your slide, on your demo, Will.
Oh, it's on one said.
Yeah.
Here's Will's slides.
So I don't know the answer to this. Okay, so let's find out. Towcat is his status year out. So Towcat was included in the mapping, but didn't quite make the list. I wonder how far out they are. Towcat. So they're 244th.
Okay, cool.
Well, they're like way up. Yeah. But like, if Towcat can prove itself by getting these endorsements and contributing positively to the conversation, I think we have absolutely no problem with Towcat earning emissions if they prove themselves,
And now we're back on Tom's slides. Could you go back to that the Twitter budget one? So, for example, Ridges says, "Hey, I'd like an X campaign." They put $3,000 up for grabs, so it lasts for say 4 days. And so, if you're a miner, is it just one tweet, or can someone tweet like 100 tweets? Like, what's the deal there?
I think it will be configurable. I think maybe 2 tweets. We might start with 2 tweets per brief, and we'll adjust from there. This is about quality, not quantity. So
Making someone really focus on what they're writing and putting out a really quality piece. I like that. It's not just like 5 Ridges and that's it.
No, but then brands might have different views on this. And they might actually want to adjust this. Some might want a bit more volume, a bit more frequency, and some might want slightly less, more focused, more quality.
So this reward pot, etc., it doesn't actually take any money out of existing Bitcast miners with the videos emissions, does it?
No. So when you launch, these are 2 separate subnet mechanisms, right? So when we set that up, we choose what percentage of our total emissions go to one and what percentage go to the other. Because of the way we're doing incentives, we're actually calculating incentives in dollar terms and then converting that to alpha and then paying out, and then the rest we burn. So we actually have quite a high burn at the moment. And the way we view that is we just have a lot of capacity in our emissions to incentivize more stuff. So we've got plenty of space to fit in this whole new reward mechanism, and also to scale up YouTube further and potentially bring on TikTok. And as we go, we have plenty of capacity.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, that's the end of my slides. I know Tom has a couple more just to close out, and then to have loads more questions after.
Yeah, it was just the incoming upgrade. So obviously Will's just showing you the X integration. So that's going live next month. So obviously keep your eye on our socials for the date that we announced for that one. TikTok integration. So this, again, it's a totally different incentive mechanism, and we've already started developing it. This is probably this has got the lowest barrier to entry, not from like a mining perspective, but from like being a creator, just by the way that the TikTok algorithm works. So obviously with YouTube, you need to be have a channel with an audience. With X, you need to be of influence. And TikTok is actually, if you can make great videos and the algorithm decides that they get shared really well, you can earn really well on TikTok. So it's a really exciting one for people who don't have already built up big audiences. So that's already in progress, and we're going to be looking to release that sort of early next year. And then the other key component, which really sets Bitcast rocketing, is the ad portal. So this is when, once we've got our sustainable revenue solutions and our products all mapped out, and we're pretty much there with YouTube, we're just going to be experimenting with X, but we need a place that brands can come and self-serve. They can say, right, here's my budget. These are the tools that I want to use. This is me setting up my campaign. I'll allocate that budget. I can see all my results. That worked really well. Let's go again with a bigger budget. And this is where it takes us out of the loop. It just provides the tools, and it basically means that you've got mass adoption on both sides. Creators are joining en masse, and brands are joining, because we've got that large creator pool, and it's really, really easy for them to load up a budget and get creators talking about their brands like they've never been able to before. And yeah, just as a really quick recap, as I said right at the beginning, marketing budgets, they want to be spent on content creation, and there's big inefficiencies for them to do it at scale, and it's moving from traditional PPC over to content creators, because that is where the best return on investment is, and we are building the tools to make that really, really easy for brands to unlock the best part of creators, which is the smaller pool of creators with the smaller audiences and the more authentic and higher conversion rates. We're building those tools to unlock that for our brands, and Bitcast is going to be the decentralized layer that powers it all. That is everything. Thank you very much.
Lovely. I've got a whole bunch of different questions. So at the moment, you're opening up just the Bittensor silo for the X, for the tweeting, etc. So when will you open up, say, Bitcoin as a silo and get 150 of the top Bitcoin tweeters?
I think it's so. Yeah, I think it all comes down to who we're marketing for and where the value is. So, you know that we're starting locally,
Yeah.
and this is a product that will be of interest to subnets within the Tau ecosystem, similarly to the way we've done it for YouTube. So subnets want to get their name out there. That's where we start. And then I think we've not decided what we do next. I think we'll probably be looking for customers, and we'll be speaking to the subnet owners about the pools that they now want to push their brands into. So I think a really good example is the one we had before, which is Ridges pushing into like the dev, building public. There's a few key sort of hashtags around development, and there's an ecosystem there. So we may go for that if they were interested, or it's kind of open to discussion. Yeah,
I was just thinking, if I was Kraken, what audience would I want to like push into? And like Bittensor is probably not that handy for Kraken, but if I was Kraken, I'd want to be pushing into the meme boys like Solana and Base and all those degens.
Well, if they were about to do like a token launch, or if they were listing a token, they'd potentially spin up that influence pool for that exact token, so that it'd get people to say, oh wow, we're now going on to Kraken. So it really just comes down to pick your audience, and then fire it up and send incentives that way. And we're building some automated tools that essentially will outreach to these influential accounts. Because obviously within Bittensor, some people know about Bitcast and that we're on these podcasts. If we move into other markets, they necessarily won't know about Bitcast. So we're going to have some automation tools to say, hey, you're one of the most influential voices for this niche. Come and have a look at your score, and then you're going to see, oh, hang on a minute, I can make money by doing tasks. So we're going to be building out that flow, but essentially it's like any marketing tool. If you go to like Amazon, you'll be putting in your keywords that you want to target. This is exactly built in the same way, except obviously it's influential voices.
So there's a few questions that have popped in, actually a lot from YouTube. So those are watching on YouTube, hello. So one of the questions, they're all somewhat similar. So Select M says, what incentive for new creators to talk about Bittensor that approach the subject with fresh perspective. And let's combine that question with another one of his questions, which is this one. Are 150 influencers talking to themselves rather than bringing in new people to the ecosystem?
So
I was talking about like the top 150 just never retweeting anyone.
yeah, so I'll take that second question, and it's a fair point that, you know, why we the goal here isn't to put messaging into our echo chamber that already exists, right? That's why the plan is to quite quickly move to have lots of these different pools. Okay, so it's not about pushing only Bittensor content into a Bittensor audience. There are lots of brands that would be interested to push into a Bittensor audience, but we want to be spinning up those pools of other areas. So, you know, what if for Bittensor to push Tau generally, what if we targeted other crypto projects that are kind of AI and crypto, like ICP or Render or Near, and we allowed OTF to push Bittensor content into those pools? Or something else that I didn't mention is we can also spin these pools up in specific languages. So we may have a Bittensor pool for English, Bittensor pool Korean, Mandarin, French, Spanish, and then it's about building those pools through incentives and strengthening those communities and getting more and more content into those communities in those languages. Yeah, so that's that. And then I think the first question maybe is more for you, Tom, on the newcomers to the subnet and the long-standing briefs that they have.
Yeah. So I guess it's part of. So if you're a new creator, we built the new site, so it does explain how Bitcast works, and it's all built around social trust. There's all loads of our creators talking about Bitcast and our brands and case studies, etc. They join the network and then they're presented with 2 introductory briefs. So essentially, if you think about it, like if a new creator is coming in to do Bittensor content, which is what we're concentrating at the moment on YouTube, it makes sense for them to at least have an introduction to their audience rather than them going straight in to do like our sponsored briefs. Because if they don't have the knowledge themselves before talking about a subnet, if they've not worked out and learned exactly how Bittensor works and they've not educated their audience on it, it's a natural stepping stone. So it's a couple of introductory briefs. It's really good for visibility on Bittensor, really good visibility on our subnets, good visibility for us as a subnet, but also as like a good test for the creators to bring them up to speed and start to learn like, wow, what is going on in Bittensor is insane and it's amazing. And then they can move on to the sponsored content.
There's a few more questions. Mark, you must have a whole bunch of questions.
Well, yes and no. I mean, I'm ridiculously bullish on Bitcast. I think it's just a fantastic solution. I love so much about it. In my simple mind, the main problem that it solves is that on the one hand, I've got a lot of brands and businesses, from the very, very big boys at the top to little mom and pop businesses down at the bottom. And on the other side, I've got exactly the same on the creators, from really, really big multi-million audience creators at the top to tiny little influencers just got started, a few dozen at the bottom. And at the moment, there's not a lot of activity between these two sides, because it's only the big boys on the one side that have got any resource whatsoever to start negotiating with the creators on the other side. And they've only got so many hours in the day, so they're only going to focus on the very, very top bit. But much of the money is going to be in the long tail on this business side, and much of the audience is in the long tail on the other side. And what Bitcast is it is the platform that unlocks both of those things and all of that spend. It makes it almost entirely frictionless for for both parties, a medium-sized business to get involved with some smaller influencers and content creators, tiny businesses to put something that might get picked up by really, really big creators, and everything, it monetizes the whole lot. It unlocks all of that value, which is nuts. And it's not a marketing agency, it is a platform. But these guys are right. Kind of Meta and Google have shown the way on that front. And I know, and you know, Siam, that marketers don't like to throw money away. They like to have metrics that they can hang their hat on. And with, you know, with the plan that these guys have got, this ad portal tool, you're going to be able to track exactly what's happened, and the metrics that they track are absolutely key to getting buyers to spending more. So on YouTube, which is, you know, has been live for a while and is working really, really, really well, I think it's fantastic, and I think that the rollout onto X is very, very well thought through. And there are valid questions about the 150 and whether they're just going to look after each other. But everyone's always going to try and gamify every system. You know, Bittensor is an entire ecosystem full of incentives, and every incentive creates a disincentive. And it's our remit to work out how to overcome those incentives and disincentives. Here, it's very, very, very straightforward. You know, Tom's right. There are lots of corporate accounts that are likely to be in the top 150. And it's in everyone's interest to try and get as high as they can in the 150, and you're only going to get as high if you can in the 150 if you've got pink lines flowing out to other people, so you've got blue lines flowing back. And of course, the 150 is a completely arbitrary number. You know, if it's not working, we'll extend it to 170, we'll extend it to 180. So it's not as easy as saying, oh, we're going to keep them in 151. So I don't really see any problems with that 150 as it rolls out over to X. I really, really like that. I really, really like the measurability. I really, really like the ambition of being an ads platform rather than a marketing agency. And I really, really like the fact that it's the easiest way, this no-code miner, it's the easiest way for people to get involved in mining on Bittensor. So there's just so much there to be bullish about. And one of the key lines for me was, the marketing people at Nike have got no real concept of a crypto bear market. They still want to sell Nike stuff. And if they know that they're getting an 8 times return on every dollar that they spend into this network, and actually they really want to push it down into smaller influencers, then I think that is it's just wonderful. I absolutely love it. Which leads me into one observation and one question, really. The observation is that I think there's a real market for additional services for you guys. And I think one of those services, when we had our video made, we put our brief up, the content creators made a bunch of DSV videos. And what we did is we had those chopped up into a single video. And I think there's a real service there for you guys to do that, and actually to have a service of, we'll make the content better by pulling together shorter videos. So, you know, if you do the brief is a standard price, but then on top of that, if you wanted a 90-second edit and a 4-minute edit of those chopped up videos, then we can do those for you. And that is all easily outsourced. It's just additional revenue. But more than that, it then allows you to resell the proposition better, because it's much easier for someone to understand, having watched a 90-second video that incorporates 11 different content creators. It's easier to understand what's happened because of the magic box, that you're making money and you're providing yourself with a better tool. And then my question was around what we're going to do with the revenue, because Simon and I had an interesting revenue search the other day with Victor, and we talked about the buyback and burn situation. And we don't really like the buyback and burn thing. Like it's an okay option, but it's kind of the least okay of all of the options. And one of the things that we talked about there was actually just the creation of a digital asset treasury. And rather than burning the alpha, just to take care of it, because then you can leverage that value, you can borrow against that value, and you can use it to accelerate your roadmap and grow your business. without touching it or spending it, but instead of burning it, you can leverage that value. And I wonder if that's something that you guys have thought about.
We have had a couple of conversations with different people in the ecosystem, and right now, whilst we're growing, but I mean, right now our revenue's not well, it's going to be, and we're sort of committed to burning it. But once we've got massive revenue coming in, then those sort of options do open up to us. But yeah, we're not set in stone exactly what we're doing with the revenue, but we know that we're going to be supporting the Alpha token with it. That's the one thing we are going to be doing with it, for sure.
What is your revenue per month at the moment?
Revenue per month is around 40 to 50 tau.
Wow.
And yeah. But that's, I mean, that, like I said before, that's not where we're going. That's literally what we're making at the moment, just whilst we got our tools into place. Having had some conversations recently with some bigger brands, their spend is completely different. And we just need to grow our creator pool, which we're about to do, and suddenly we unlock all that spend.
Yeah, just to follow on what Mark said, like the marketing metric measurability is something that a lot of business owners froth over. So I haven't done it for a while, but about a decade, I used to spend, about 50 grand a month, so £50,000 per month on Facebook ads. And the only reason I did that is because I worked up to it. So I did 10 grand a month, and then I had my key metrics. I was like, oh wow, for every pound I put in, I'm getting £3 back over a 2-week lag. So it only makes sense to do 20 grand a month. Oh wow, it still works. 30 grand, 40 grand, 50 grand, then 60, 70, and then, oh shit, it breaks. And then because ads scale differently, and then you have ad fatigue and all that sort of stuff. But with Facebook ads, you had extreme marketing metric measurability. So what the reason Mark and I love Bitcast is you're getting that you're sort of bringing brand marketing and getting some measurable metrics for it, which business owners can lean their hat on. And when a business owner finds a marketing avenue which looks, ROI positive, they're like, holy shit, let's just throw more money at it. So you guys are cracking some eggs and making a nice omelet there, and some big money is going to be pouring through. So yeah.
Another thing to point out as well, I don't know if I did a good job on this actually in the slides, but going back to this fixed fee model that currently exists with content creation, like you literally have no idea what you're going to get for your fixed fee. And some of the conversations we've had recently is like they'll be sort of looking at our stats that we've delivered on with our case studies recently, and I'll be like, look, that's the spend. And whatever we don't allocate out, you get back. And that at the moment, as soon as they hear that, they're like, that's a game changer. Like, so I don't have to go and spend like 20 grand on one creator, having no idea if that video is going to hit. I can load up budget here, and I only pay for exactly what I wanted, and what doesn't get allocated, what doesn't deliver value, I get returned to me. And that is removing all the uncertainties around how the industry works at the moment is a big thing that we're hearing back from conversations we're having.
Select M has another question on YouTube. He says, or she, over what period are the creator rewards paid? How does this compare to existing creator rewards, the contracted ones? How do peak views compare with Twitter and YouTube?
So creator rewards are paid pretty quickly compared to like it's hard on that contracted question because the industry's not really got a norm. It can be paid up front, it can be paid afterwards. It really depends. It's all one-to-one business deal, and it's not, it can be done in many different ways. But the way that we do it is a creator pushes their video, we read all the engagement metrics of it, and we allocate the rewards based on that. So let's say a video is posted on a Monday, rewards will start coming through probably 3 or 4 days later, and then I'll continue as your engagement continues on YouTube or X or wherever we incentivize it. So the money flow is very, very different to the contracted. So yeah, but it comes through pretty quickly after you've released your content.
I've got some screenshots here, and I've already shared, I think, in other videos that I'm a miner for Bitcast, and I was just doing it for shits and giggles, really. So I made a whole bunch. Oh, let's move faces. So yeah, this is a screenshot from my Bitcast portfolio. I did a whole bunch of video. I started 2 months ago. Did a whole bunch of videos in quick succession, so got paid out pretty promptly. And then you see there's a bit of a gap. Like 18 days ago to then 2 days ago, I just did no videos for 2 weeks. I was a bit busy. I missed a whole bunch of briefs. But then like a few days ago, I did a brief and then got paid very promptly. And the accumulation of that, because I haven't touched that wallet at all, is this. So in, I think, 2.5 months, I've made about $30,000 just from, mining with you guys, which is amazing. So this started off as a little experiment. Now I'm like, it's actually worth my time to put a bit more effort into these videos. So, and other people will think that as well. And so I guess, sorry, did you say something, Tom?
No, I was going to say, how many videos is that from as well? That's, if you know about.
Not many. I haven't done that many. I guess it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, probably about 8 or 9.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not sure. I could check, but and I guess this leads to Spanish Harry's question. So to clarify, for a non-influential person who is interested in a potential side hustle mining Bitcast, wait for the TikTok modality.
I think actually, yes, TikTok, obviously, if you're good at making videos, you still need a good skill set to do well on TikTok, but there's no sort of barrier to entry on like having to have grown an audience over however many years. So yeah, I suppose on that point it is good. But I mean, if I was looking at the list of influential accounts on that we've generated, and actually in the last, because looking at 30 days, and there's certain accounts, I'm not going to name them here, there's certain accounts that don't have big audiences, but they're making certain content that is really resonating. So they're making really good deep dives on like some of the subnets, and subnets are resharing them, or some of the brands within this influential. So you can wait for TikTok, or you can double down and start like, actually, I'm going to start generating really, really good content on X for the Bittensor crowd. And end of the day, people share really good content, and that can be anything as well. It doesn't have to be just a tweet. It can be, it can be have a document attached. It can have a video attached. It can be anything. If you can make good content that gets shared and gets influence across that pool, then you can make your way into the top 150. If you're providing continuous value and good value, and the ecosystem likes it, then you will make your way into the 150.
Nice. And then Habib, so last one for the public questions. Habib says, are there plans to do YouTube Shorts and or Instagram Reels in the future?
They're not on the not in the next couple of months. But there's definitely plans to do definitely YouTube Shorts. We've not investigated Instagram at the moment. But we're going to build these tools out. These incentive mechanisms take a lot of time to get right, so we're doing them right, getting them actually working properly. So we will work around to YouTube Shorts and potentially Instagram as well.
Cool. Yeah, well, so the miners get paid out in alpha. What?
Yeah.
Is there any incentive for them to hold on to that beyond a belief that the value of it's going to go up?
Well,
I'll go on, Will.
I mean, no, we not nothing out of the ordinary, but like obviously they earn APY on that. Through our portal, we try and educate them on that a bit. But also, on this deck, we've sort of done a deep dive, especially on the benefits to the client on that side, because this podcast is more about the business model and where's the money coming from. But we could have equally done a massive slide deck on the benefits for those creators. And if you talk to our creators, like Siam, of course, but a bunch of the other ones, the general consensus is that this is incredible. This is a much better model for them. So actually the creators are some of the people that have the best understanding of what Bitcast is, and actually have the most belief in what Bitcast can become.
Yeah, but
So,
that won't be true when you move to a completely different market, won't it?
Well, regardless of what market we're in, we want to give a great experience to our creators, whether it be on X or YouTube, and we think we can do that. I think we are much better than the alternatives for the creators. So, yeah, I think there is a good chance that these creators will continue to be extremely bullish on the project and buy in or hold their alpha. But of course, miners as well.
Do you think there's a chance that you could, like in the same way that you're reducing the friction with the no-code miner but taking a 5% service fee, do you think if you offered, not necessarily in the Bittensor market, but if you went beyond that, do you think if you just offered people a cash option but with a 50% service fee, they'd take that?
yeah, probably.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, we've got a whole fiat side of the business that we need to develop and think through properly. But you know, I was watching the podcast that you guys had recently with Video, and what they were doing with the fiat side of things was very interesting. But we need to think about what works best for Bitcast, and it'd be silly for us to think that people who are working for like Nike who have no interest in crypto want to get paid in crypto. It's not going to make sense. So, but essentially, it all boils down to the incentive mechanism. We get the incentive mechanism right, that's robust. Then making a fiat on and off ramp to fit in with our alphanomics, it would be the natural next step so that we can start attacking those markets.
Yep.
And as AJ said here, like there's so many different things you could do. So AJ just said imagine locking up your alpha for a certain period of time, and it gives you a boost in the X pool.
Yeah. There's loads of different ways that you could do stuff on the creator side, but if you think about it, like right now, the way we are in our journey is we want miners, we want creators, we want to look after our creators, and really the strength of our business is our creators. So it's like our supply, it's our stock. So we want as many creators on the platform as possible, and then once we've got that, we've got so much power going to brands saying, look, like you can't get this anywhere else.
Yep. Well, I think it's super cool. Yeah, I'd be interested in having those discussions on making it as good as it can be for the miners and on the lockup and whether actually doing the buyback and burn is a sensible thing to do, and also the additional services, because all of that stuff just like thoughts that I had while I was listening to you guys deliver your presentation, but I thought it was really good. Again, I enjoyed watching it on Novelty Search. I enjoyed watching it again today. Always enjoy talking to you guys. Thank you very much for coming and joining us on Revenue Search. If you've got no more questions, Simon, I've just got one.
Go for it, mate.
So you know that our job is to pull capital into this ecosystem. We want to get as many eyeballs as we can onto Revenue Search. And in doing that, we need to move outside of the Bittensor ecosystem and attract new eyeballs in. Who's the guest that we could invite onto Revenue Search that would make that difference, that would take us out of this bubble and give us some different eyeballs?
It's got to be big Barry Silbert.
It's got to be Barry. Game on.
That's it. That's not the first time we've heard that, but yeah, Barry Silbert.
Game on.
Let's see what we can do. Cool. Okay. Thanks very much, gents. Really appreciate your time. Thanks for walking us through it all. We will be back with another Revenue Search at some point.
Thank you very much, guys.
Definitely not this week. I'm on holiday at the moment, and during that, the room service knocked on the door twice to come in. I was like, no. So yeah, I'm gonna have to take a hit for the team and have just a messy room today. So
Yeah, you are. Cool. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Will.
Cheers, guys.
cheerio, folks.